Hey, I'm Benjamin Masse. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Triton. Triton, I've been in the audio business for I've been there for 13 years, so I think like 16 or 17 years. So we do everything from broadcasts, streaming, and podcasts. It depends of how you look at this. We have a lot of publishers that do both podcasts and broadcasts. Then we have a bunch of publishers that will do podcasts only, like all of the prints, and some TV for which we do nothing with the broadcast, but we focus on podcasts. So in terms of quantity of broadcasters, I'm pretty much a bit more podcasts producing companies versus broadcaster only. In terms of impressions and revenues, might be a bit more streaming than podcast, but podcast is catching up. So we're maybe not half point, but almost. I would say for podcast, hosting is important because without hosting, you don't have the content, you cannot distribute it. So we always invest in content distribution and hosting. We actually have two platforms, one for enterprise called Omni Studio, and the other one for hobbyist or emerging podcaster called Spreaker. And the business model are different, so the different needs. So we need to keep these products evolving. And also like hosting and distribution might be an understatement because often when we need to connect to, let's say, paid podcasts, like subscription-based offering on Spotify or on Apple, or again, like getting some feedback from players, then we always need to refresh the hosting platform. There's also more and more things, like we bought Sounders a few weeks ago. So if we want to bring all of the AI for chapterization or content packaging, both from a publishing perspective, then we need to invest in that. But I would say the most important aspects for all of our clients is to make sure they get money out of it. So the investment in ad tech is certainly way beyond how much we invest in the hosting. But it's always what makes podcasting possible by driving revenues. We both have an ad server and an SSP. These two are actually being combined because that's how it is. So we at the moment have tapped the ad server and yelled up the SSP, but at the end of the year, it'll only be tapped because the programmatic component is already 2/3 merged inside tap. Because nowadays, when a publisher strikes a deal with a brand, even if it's a sponsorship, it would be programmatically executed often, or sometimes they still need to do some managed service. So for us, it's important to maintain both. But I would say in terms of revenues, a lot of our publishers are making the bulk of their money with programmatic.